Yo, yo, what is up, everybody? Let me make sure this thing is live. Let's see here. Everybody watching. Okay, there we go. Perfect. We are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to day one of the 5-day challenge. Let me make sure you guys can hear me well and everything.
Welcome to
Perfect.
day one.
All right. All right, guys. So today, on day one, we're going to be going over the mindset of a high earning reseller. So let me kind of break this down a little bit. So I'm going to be breaking away some limiting beliefs today on what many people think is the issue with reselling, why people don't think there's enough money in the market, why people think there's too much competition, why people think things are saturated. I'm going to be breaking things down quite a bit today. I have linked in the description up above this my Tech Flips to Profit ebook that also goes into some of this a little bit in depth. Some of you have it, some of you don't. So I put it in the description up above for that reason, to help you guys out. Okay, so just wanted to let you guys know that I'm just going to be diving right into this. So, guys, what does it mean to be a high earning reseller? Well, I want to start off really quickly with this, and then I'll dive into a little bit of my backstory on why, I'm qualified to teach this, right? Um, what does it mean to be a high qualified or a high earning reseller? Well, you see all those Nintendo Switches and Oculus Quest and this MacBook, right? And this Nintendo Switch and all of these different things. All of these things all of them come from something called diversification, right? So this industry started off with mostly flipping phones. That was kind of the key thing, right? That was the main thing everybody flipped. A lot of people still do flip a lot of phones. I still flip phones, right? I got a bunch of phones right here, right? These are the older ones, but they still make me money, right? I got most of these for free, um, but this whole industry started out with reselling phones, and it has evolved over time to flipping things like MacBooks and game consoles and cameras and different things like that. I'm going to be breaking that a little bit down here for today for you guys, just to kind of break away those chains that you guys have wrapped around your minds when it comes to reselling, because a lot of people don't think there's a lot of money to be made left in this business, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Okay. A lot of people just don't realize where the money is at, because the money's everywhere. And I'm going to be showing you guys that today. So, why am I qualified to teach this? Well, let me give you guys a little bit of my backstory. So, I did not come from a techie background. Okay. So, when I was young, I actually grew up on a shrimp boat. And I was picking up crab traps and different things like that out in boats. I actually grew up on boats. It was a lot of hard work. Um, and then I grew up a little bit more. Right, I went to high school and then to college. And in college, I got a job as a server in a restaurant, in a seafood restaurant. So I went from the boat to the restaurant when it came to seafood, right? And I found very quickly that I did not like working, um, I guess, for somebody, essentially. Um, I didn't really like where I had to be somewhere, right? That wasn't really something I liked. And I found um, flipping phones and electronics through my mentor. His name is David Kosciuszko. He is now retired from the business. He doesn't coach anymore, but he kind of showed me the ropes on how to start my own reselling business and how to, kind of grow this thing. And over time, I've created my own systems and processes to help a lot of other people. I've helped well over 300 resellers at this point, especially when it comes to things like paid ads, negotiation, marketing, and different things like that. I've helped a lot of people at this point, so I'm pretty well versed in how all the overall system works. So today, guys, let's talk about the mindset of a high earning reseller. So let me kind of break it down here for you guys really quick, and I will be taking some excerpts out of my book. I have linked my book up above. That way, you guys can easily just click on it and read it. Right? If you want to read it, like this is kind of going to be a breakdown of the 5-day challenge through my book, so that you have something tangible to understand it from. Okay. So number one, guys, I want you guys to understand. This comes from chapter 1, by the way. The global smartphone industry market size is approximately $409 billion by annual revenue. About 1.38 billion smartphone units were sold in 2020, and the market shows no sign of dying down anytime soon. Okay, why is that important? Well, guys, one thing I want you guys to understand is that I actually did quite well during this business during the pandemic. So what does that mean? Right? What does that mean? Well, that quite literally means that this business, the reselling business, the smartphone industry, the electronics industry, is depression and recession proof. Okay? Like it's not going nowhere. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. We all use these things, right? We all use these. I'm using a computer right now. I'm using my phone right now to watch your guys' comments. I'm using these things. Anytime somebody is using something, the industry for that thing is not going to die. Okay? So, number one, the market isn't dying anytime soon, right? So, the next thing that I want you guys to understand here is how to grab a piece of this pie, right? So, there's a big pie when it comes to electronics, and if you guys are tracking along with me, just type yes below, even if you're watching the replay. Okay, so overall, guys, these things have a huge impact on our life, right? And the cool thing about this is this allows us as resellers to take kind of advantage of the market, because here's something that doesn't happen a whole lot. So Apple, Samsung, and other companies usually don't buy back their devices as often as you think, right? So that's where we come in, right? This allows for people just like you and me, who are regular, everyday people, to come in and buy used, cracked, damaged, broken items and resell them for a profit, right? So I do want to do a little quick exercise for everybody. I like to do this exercise simply because it breaks the chains that are around your guys' mind when it comes to this business. So I want to give you guys a pretty good example here real quick. Let's take your city. If you know the population of your city, go ahead and type it in the comments. If you're watching the replay, do this as well. Type the population size of the area that you're in. So to give you guys an example, I'm going to use 200,000. So I used to live in Beaumont, Texas, which had roughly 200,000 people in it. It's a small city in a sense. So what does that mean? What does the population size have to do with everything? Well, number one, it means that the minimum amount of smartphones in the area is about 200,000 people. It's a pretty good number of phones, right? And this is just phones, just so you guys know, just phones. I'm just taking the one thing that everybody knows about, right? There are 200 smartphones in that area, 200,000 smartphones in that area at any given time. Pretty good amount. If you were to get 0.1% of the market in an area of that size, that's about $600,000 worth of devices. And that's, assuming we range the average of every device around $300, right? Which is rough estimate, right? Out of those 200,000, right, there's going to be some people who have cracked phones, damaged phones, and phones that no longer work, right? So when you offer cash for these broken phones, most people, are going to say yes, especially for the broken ones, because a lot of people don't have an emotional attachment to these devices anymore and things like that, right? I want you guys to do this same exercise for your area, okay? So I now live in a town called League City, Texas. This area is closer to about 1 million people within a 25-mile radius, okay? So what does that mean? Well, that means there's about 1 million phones in my area, right? If not more, okay? So you can only imagine kind of, how much I can pull out of it now, right? Now, what does that also mean? There's also other people in the area that do what I do, and that's okay. I'm going to be getting a competition here in a few minutes. Okay. But I hope that by now you're kind of seeing, after you do that little exercise, that you're seeing the opportunity for the industry for yourself. You don't have to be a whale in this industry to make six figures. You don't have to be a wholesaler in this industry to make six figures. You just don't have to. All you got to be willing to do is apply the knowledge that you guys are going to be learning over these 5 days when it comes to ads and marketing and negotiation and different things like that. All you have to do is apply it. And if you apply it, you'll make money. It's guaranteed. Okay. Knowledge without application is useless, though, right? So what's crazy about this, guys, is I've only been talking about phones. Okay. So now I haven't even gotten to the other electronics. So what other types of electronics are there outside of smartphones? Well, let's take a look, right? We have MacBooks, we have smartwatches, we have cameras, we have game consoles, GPSs, satellite phones, Nintendo Switches, Oculus Quests, other VR related items. There are a ton of different items. Guys, I bought more VR stuff and game console stuff last week than I did phones. There's a big market for electronics. Okay, you guys can see right behind me here these Nintendo Switches. I bought all of those last week. I bought the Oculus last week. I bought more game consoles and Oculus stuff than I did phones. I'm going to make more money off of that stuff. Okay. We've also been making more off of those items too, which I'll be getting to here in a bit. But I hope by saying this, it shows you guys how big this market is, right? I already talked a little bit about how everything's market proof. And remember, guys, I put the Tech Flips Profit ebook up above in the description. If you guys kind of want to go along with it, I'm kind of reading along with it just basically because it's such a good outline, right? I did a good job writing it. I'm not going to lie. But I am going deeper into it for you guys as well, right? Another thing I want you guys to understand is when it comes to having the mindset of a high earning reseller, you got to understand that this business is simple. Okay. I want you guys to type, everybody watching, type simple business in the comments below. Simple business. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. This business is incredibly simple. What do I mean by that? Well, so all we're really doing is buying things at a lower price and then reselling them for a higher price, right? We're basically the middleman between people who do business with electronics, right? That's what we are. At its most basic level, this business is incredibly simple. A lot of people overanalyze things, and then they make it a little bit more complicated than it actually is. So more about this business is you got to stop thinking and do more, right? That's really what it is. At the end of the day, here are the main things that we're doing. We are posting ads to get people to see us. We are then communicating with people and trying to find a solution to their problem. What is their problem? They need money, right? That's their problem, okay? Then we are selling the items to somebody else who can also make a profit, or to the end user, right? Somebody that's actually going to use this item, right? This is a simple business model. Don't overthink this. It really is that simple, okay? Instead of thinking about it a whole lot, take action instead. The next thing I want to talk about here, guys, is one of my favorite things to hear. My favorite things to hear. And that's competition. So for everybody that is watching right now, and everybody that will be watching later, because I know there's a lot of you that will be watching the replay, how many of you guys think there's a whole lot of competition in your area? All you got to do is type yes in the comments below, and let me know. How many of you guys think there's a lot of competition where you're trying to resell? This is something I hear from a lot of people in the industry, and sometimes even from my own students, right? So a lot of what people say is there's a lot of competition in my area. Sidra says no. Woo! There we go. A lot of what people say, though, there's a lot of competition in my area. How can I run a successful business with all of these other people that are doing the same things? Well, it's kind of funny. The other day, my students were actually asking me the same thing on a Wednesday call that we do every Wednesday. And I decided I was going to call up some of my competitors that were in my area and just see, you know, if they could buy the devices that I had for sale, right? So I called them up, and I actually have one of these exchanges on my YouTube channel too. I called them up. 4 out of 5 of them just didn't even answer, and the one that did answer, he said he couldn't buy it. It was a Samsung Galaxy Flip 4, so which is a relatively new phone. I sold it the other day for about 320. I bought it for 120, right? So, and he straight up said he couldn't buy it. The only guy that actually answered said he couldn't buy it. At the end of that call, I asked my students, "Do we have competition?" And they said no. Okay. Another way I can put this is, do grocery stores have competition? Do they? Do they really? Right? How many different types of grocery stores are there? You got Walmart, Target, HEB in Texas, Kroger, all of these different chains, right? They all provide pretty much the exact same service, and all of these businesses do well despite the fact that there's a high level of competition in their market, right? They all do fine, right? It's the same thing with Starbucks and McDonald's, right? You see them all over the place, right? You would think they're creating competition for themselves, but they're really just not, right? So here's the deal with this. The truth is, guys, there's more people than there are businesses. And that's the key. Once you understand that, you don't really believe in competition anymore, right? So it's literally impossible for one person to gobble up all of the market. It's just impossible. Even in a local market, it's impossible. Okay. And then on top of that, people are going to like different flavors of business, right? Like, what do I mean by that? So some people are going to like doing business with somebody else other than me. And then other people are going to like doing business with me because I give good customer service, and somebody else pays a higher price, and things like that, right? Believe it or not, people will come back to you over and over again if you give good customer service, even when somebody else is paying more. It's happened to me time and time again. Price isn't the only thing that matters to people. Okay. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. So, in my personal opinion, guys, competition isn't a real thing. It's only a real thing inside of here. Okay. If you think you have competition, then you do. Okay. But here is what I want you guys to think. If you look at it like you are everybody else's competition, that'll change your whole mindset. So instead of, I say to myself, I don't have competition. I am the competition. Actually, that's something that you guys should type out, actually, right? Type that out. I don't have competition. I am the competition, right? So foundations, we're still on foundations, right? So what is it that people need the most from us? Because we're providing a service to people, right? People need money, right? That's the overarching thing that people need. They just need money, right? So let's see here. Yeah. So when people need money, there are services provided where people can get money in a quick and fast and easy manner, right? There are multiple businesses built around the same business model that we have. Places like pawn shops, loan agencies, and things like that you see literally everywhere, right? They're all built around the premise that people need money, right? And there are so many different businesses out there that offer quick and fast cash because of the underlying things that people need. In a nutshell, this entire business model comes down to us providing the money for the people who need it, right? That's it. Once you realize that, it becomes even more simple, right? And here's how to bring that to fruition as well. People need you more than you need them, right? People need the money that you have more than you actually need them. A lot of resellers come into this thinking that like they have to run around town, they have to go to people, they have to be like the super service person, right? When in reality, guys, they need you more than you need them. That's the thing. That's why I only meet people at 12 and 5 every day. That's the only reason, is because I know that they need the money more than I do. That's it. Once you realize that, things become a whole lot easier in your head, right? So people need you more than you need them. Okay. That's pretty much the core root at everything. And this business, this business model is basically broken down to people need money, and they always will. um, and then here's mostly the last one, guys. I want you guys to understand this. Write this part down, especially when it comes to mindset. Everyone is a potential customer. Literally everybody that you come into contact with is a potential customer. Okay, let me tell you guys a story real quick on this, actually. So a couple years ago, I did some work for somebody with some social media management. He ran a wood crafting business. I did some work for him and helped him out for free at that point, because I was trying to build my mind up and build my brand and things like that. About 2 years later, he hits me up because he knows what I do. He knows that I buy and resell electronics, because I would talk to him about it and different things like that, right? Anyway, 2 years later, he actually hits me up and he's like, "Hey man, I got these 4 Nintendo Switches. They were delivered to my door. They weren't mine. I tried to give them back, and they said they wouldn't take them and that I could just keep them. These aren't the same ones that you see back here, just so you guys know. This was quite a while ago." Anyway, he hits me up and he's like, I know you buy electronics. Would you be willing to buy these from me? I'll give you a good price on them and everything. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I did. And I made a lot of money off of that. But it was only because he knew what I did from 2 years prior that he sold them to me, right? So everyone is a potential customer either now or later, okay? Especially in this business, especially in this economy, and in this, social construct we have, right? Everybody comes into contact with electronics on a daily basis, right? So, so I want to take a different type of business here real quick and give you guys a really good example on why an electronics reselling business is one of the best businesses that you can actually start. Okay, so I want to take a fence building company as an example here. I'm going to ask a few questions here about this company, and then I'm going to ask a few questions about the flipping business model, so you guys can get a better idea of what I mean by everyone is a potential customer, right? So I'm going to ask a couple questions about this fencing company. All right, in a fencing company, does everybody in the world need a fence? No, they don't, right? Do people that are in apartments need a fence? They don't. Do people that already have a fence need a fence? They do not. How often does somebody replace their fence? Not very often. Do the people who get fences have friends that need fences? That is a potential yes, right? However, the people that need a fence are going to be significantly less than people that need to sell a phone, right? So I want to switch these questions around a little bit and turn these on to things that are in the flipping scenario, right? The reselling scenario. So does everybody need a smartphone as some sort of electronic device in their day? Yes. Do people that already have phones and electronics typically need or want more of them? Again, typically yes. How often does somebody replace their phone or electronic device? About every 6 months. Kind of wild, right? Do people who own phones and electronics know friends who have phones and electronics? Well, of course, right? So do you see, guys, kind of see how this differs from a traditional business? This business goes, the fence building business is looking for very, very specific people in a specific behavior pattern as well. Like these are people that, they're looking to build a fence in their backyard or something like that, right? And then they won't need it again for another 10 or 15 years, right? However, in the reselling space, people are using their phones, breaking their electronics, breaking their PS4s, you, upgrading often, right? So the rate of turnover on items in this business is huge. It's huge, right? So that is why this is one of the better businesses to get into. Is simply because literally everyone's a customer. It's hard to go a day without business if you know what you're doing, right? So I do want to break down the 3 pillars of this business really quick though, before we wrap up day 1. And let me know if you guys are enjoying this. I see we got quite a few people on, so that's awesome. So I do want to break down the 3 pillars of this business. There are 3 main pillars, and then there's a 5-step framework, which I'll be going into a little bit later in the days. But number 1, the pillar number 1, guys, is getting seen in the market. Okay. So how's the best way to do this? You have to have ads in the market. You have to have ads. You have to have some sort of word of mouth. You have to have something that attracts somebody else in the marketplace. Okay, what we're looking for here is when it comes to getting seen in the market, what we're doing is we're basically buying eyeballs. That's what we're doing. We are looking to get people to see us, because the more people that see us, the more people that are going to want to sell devices, and the more people that sell devices, the more money we're going to make. Just in a nutshell, that's basically in the simplest terms ever, right? And to do that, most of the time we run ads that get people to contact us. Okay. Now you can go to Marketplace and start DMing people. Can totally do that. But we run ads that look like this, as you guys can see. They aren't amazingly, right, like professional, right? They're not. And that's okay, because they don't have to be, right? We're trying to get their eyeballs, their attention. And I've noticed that professional photos don't really do that, okay? And then when it's actually up and running, it actually looks like this. That's what the ad actually looks like when it's up and running, right? So now a lot of people do use the free ads, and that's totally cool. I like to go a little bit more automated approach on things, just to make my life easier, because with paid ads, we use Facebook, Instagram, Google. People come to me, and I basically just pay for the ad, and they run 24/7. I don't have to repost every day, right? The next pillar, guys, is appraising items and knowing what to offer, okay? A lot of people don't understand this part, and we'll be getting into this a little bit more tomorrow as well. But a lot of people don't know what to offer people at first. So what we have to do is we have to do something called finding comparables, okay? What is finding comparables? So that's basically going and finding sold listings of things that have sold recently, and for what price. That's what we're looking for there. So that's what it means to call, it finding comparables, which we'll be going over a little bit tomorrow on the offer, or the next day, I'm sorry, on Wednesday, on the offer making call. All right. And then the third pillar of all of this is negotiation. You have to be able to negotiate prices. A lot of people are actually scared of this part of the business because they don't like confrontation. They don't like being told no. But what if I told you for every time you get told no, I give you $1 or I give you $5, right? I'm sure you would go for the no's a little bit more, right? The whole thing with this, guys, is like you're going to get told no a lot. Okay, you might as well rack up as many as possible, because here's the deal: the more no's you get, the more yeses you will also get. Okay, it's all math when it comes down to it. Typically, we close 10 to 20% out of 100. Okay, so those are the numbers you can see, right? So we'll also be going over negotiation on Thursday in a little bit more depth. We'll be going over my bullet negotiation method. But this has been day 1, guys. So I want you guys to take notes, get my ebook that's up above, and kind of read through it, go into a little bit more detail. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Other than that, get your mind right, right? That's really what this comes down to, is like getting into the right mindset. That's half the battle. Most people think mindset is a lot of woo-woo stuff, right? When it's actually not. Like the way you think is the way you do things. That's really what it comes down to. So, anyway, guys, rewatch this, replay it, and get the ebook that's also in the description. Read through it, and I will see you guys at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. See you guys soon.